Okay, so I haven't... Okay. This is a nightmare I may not be ready to live through.
I started getting crushes on boys.
Real embarrassed about this.
My mouth gets the best of me pretty much all the time.
Okay, I'm just like, how do... Okay. All right.
There we go. Hey guys, welcome to the We Still Like You podcast. Today we've got We Still Like Death.
We've got some select stories from our live show based in Chicago, and this time it is all about people not being alive anymore. Oh boy, we're off to a sensitive start, aren't we?
It's all about those decomposing fuckers we used to know. Let's maybe take that one from the top.
Oh, I didn't mind. Yeah, I think we should keep that.
Actually. Let's do it. We Still Like You is a show based in Chicago, all about telling stories of shame you've had in the past and conquering that shame.
Yeah, so we get a group of people together, we force them to unconditionally love our storytellers, who might be comedians, musicians, improvisers, whoever, and then we cheers, we still like you no matter what happens at the end of the story, and then we party. It's a pretty good time.
We cleanse ourselves of our shame. And so today, we've got a lot of stories about death and the way we deal with it. Let's kick it off with your first one by Meredith Kachel. She's got a story about what not to say and when not to say it.
My mouth gets the best of me pretty much all the time. And my grandma died a few years ago. And don't worry about it. She's dead now. She doesn't care. And I had a brand new nephew at the time. He was my first nephew. His name's Lucian. Lucian's super fucking cute. He's just, precious. And he was just learning to talk. And his first phrase was, "I did it." Because when he would get up, he would be like, "I did it." And everyone would be like, "Yeah." And he would eat and you'd say, "I did it." And you're like, "No, that's so cute." So he's right there. And he gets a little fussy during the funeral. And everyone's there, all 6 of my uncles. And my sister-in-law takes him up to the rafters to kind of settle him down. And we're going through the eulogy. And just from like the back of the church, you just started hearing like, "I did that. I did that. I did that. I did that. I did that." And I just very loudly just go, "Do you think Lucian murdered Grandma?" I've never seen my mother cry so much. All right, I'm all done. Guys, thank you.
That was Meredith Kachel. You can see her do stand-up all over Chicago, and she produces a really fantastic show called Hoo Ha Comedy, which is every Tuesday night at Rocket Burger Bar in Chicago.
I think I have a story about death.
I
think I've got one.
You have a story about death?
About death.
Well, please don't leave me in suspense.
All right. This was back when I was in college. My grandmother passed away. And it was like pretty sudden. We were like all super sad about it. And so I came home. I was in Missouri in school at the time. And I came home to Chicago for the funeral. And so I was home for like 3 or 4 days, just kind of with my family and whatnot. And while I was there, I had a friend who like heard that I was back in town and had been trying to set me up with this friend of hers for like months. She had for months been trying to be like, "I just need you and this girl whose name I won't use because she lives around here. I just need you and this girl to, meet up. I'm sure you'll get along super well." And it like just so happened that one of the nights when I was in town, my favorite band, Frightened Rabbit, was playing an acoustic show at Angels and Kings, that bar under the Hard Rock Hotel. And so she sets me and this girl up to go, and I'm like, whatever, fine, I'm super bummed. Maybe this will be like a nice way to spend a sad day, maybe something fun will happen. And it's actually a blast. Like, the show's really great, they play all my favorite songs, everything's going well, and we're like getting along about as well as my friend had assumed we were getting along. And so later in the evening, I'm making out with this girl in my car, and she pulls away from me and she says, "I've had a really great time, and I know this sounds crazy, but it's almost like your grandma died for a reason." And she just drops that on me, and man, I would have swapped that date for my grandma pretty quick, because like my grandma's great. But oh man, it got so awkward in that car after that, 'cause, like, it was a 30-minute drive back to her home, which was like definitely our next stop. Like, we weren't gonna keep making out, but
she's very optimistic.
Yeah. I mean, maybe at the wedding I could have been like, something good came out of Graham's passing, but like, not the first date, you know? Not the first date.
I do remember one time, man, I remember my great-grandma died. One of them died when I was like maybe 10 or something, and I remember being at her funeral, and it didn't quite hit me how sad I should have been. I mean, I loved her, but, you know, like a kid, I'm not quite grasping it. And I have, like, younger cousins that are kind of, like, being rambunctious at the funeral home, and I, for some reason, think, like, oh, I need to settle them down or something. So I'm like, hey, guys, come here. We need to pay our respects. And I just, like, put them in front of my great-grandma's corpse, and they both just started crying immediately.
You just made a bunch of little kids look at a dead person.
Yeah, that's what I did. And I'm thinking, like, oh, I'm being really respectful right now.
You're just like patting yourself on the back, like, I'm being such a cool mourner right now.
Yeah, I really shut down the fun on this funeral, so I'm doing a good job.
I do not have it. I have one living grandparent remaining, so I don't know.
Loser.
You've reached the We Still Like You voicemail. Leave your story at the beep.
Hi, We Still Like You. This is Meredith, Kachel, and I'm calling to tell a story about death, a very short one. So this is from my senior year of college. I went to school at the School of the Art Institute in Chicago, a prestigious place where a bunch of fucking assholes go to feel better about their glib outlooks on the world. So my senior year, I took a class with a brilliant professor of mine. Her name was Mindy Rose Schwartz. And the class that she was teaching was a sculpture class called Extreme Craft. And Extreme Craft had a bunch of extreme assholes and weirdos in it, and I loved every second of it. But one of my classmates, it was either one of my classmates or somebody left it in the studio in which we practiced, had created what was essentially an experiment on death. It was a large plexiglass box, completely sealed, and they had filled it with about 2,000 ladybugs that they had ordered offline or online, and there was a crank attached to it that was attached to the outside, so you could spin it, and it operated a mallet inside of it that would lower itself very slowly and would crush whatever was beneath it. These bugs were doomed to die regardless. They were given no food, and the oxygen was, limited. So you had the choice of either crushing some of the ladybugs, whatever was below this mallet, slowly and kind of watching them die, or just kind of condemning them to a life of starvation and oxygen depletion. Personally, I crushed the ladybugs. Kill few, save many. For the time being, we weren't allowed to really use animals in any of our art projects. No animals, no blood, no feces, no human sacrifice, nothing like that. But bugs were okay. So we did do that. I feel good about my decision. I'm not going to lie. I feel pretty good. Bugs are dumb. It's like when you're a little kid and you grab a bunch of lightning bugs and you put them in a jar, and you look at them for a little while, and then you take them all out, and you take them one by one, and you smash them on the ground. You put them on the ground, and you smash your foot along them, and you make a line. You try and spell your whole name. Meredith is a long name to try and do that with, so it never works for me. So this is pretty satisfying. Okay, that's my story about death. Bye.
We've got one more story on today's podcast for you. This one comes from Nate Burrows.
When I was little, I was a very fat kid. As a fat kid, I did a lot of fat things. Like when I was 5, or no, I was 6, I was in the shower and I heard the ice cream truck going by. So I just ran out without wearing clothes and just ran up to this ice cream truck. Me and the guy made a deal that if I put some shorts on, he'd give me a Choco Taco, and that shit went fucking down. That was awesome. So we've established that I was a fat little mushroom haircut, matzo ball fuck. Now, this story takes place, we went camping, we drove 7 hours out to Wisconsin to this communal campgrounds. Now, in these communal campgrounds, there was lodges everywhere. Now, my dad got tipped up and he got hooked up by a friend because it's hard to get one of these lodges. And the whole idea was that you go every year on the same date and you kind of know everyone around you. So we get there. My dad went and he had to go fill out some forms and shit. And there was this giant fish pinata, this giant pinata of this fish, okay? And my sisters go, hey, Nate, see that pinata? Now, I had seen pinatas before. I got pinatas that are full of fucking candy. I know the deal. They go, see that pinata? Dad made that pinata for you, and you can knock it down whenever you want. Now, I'm not like, I'm stupid, but I'm not like real stupid. I'm like, wait a minute. Dad would have said, like, I could have done that. He would have gotten me a bat. They're like, we're in the fucking woods, fat ass. You can use a stick. And I'm like, that's true. I can use a stick. So I grab this stick, and I go up to this fucking paper mache fish, and I just beat the shit out of this fish, and all this candy starts falling down, and I'm just eating all this candy, and all of a sudden I just hear, Dios mío! Dios mío! And I hear a bunch of Spanish. I look over, and there's this angry Hispanic older man yelling and pointing at me. And he's yelling and pointing at me, and I'm like, okay. Like I grew up in Northwest Suburbs. I didn't see many Hispanics. I'm like, that guy's pissed, and I just kept eating Reese's Pieces. Then his 2 little kids come out. They're around my age. These 2 little bambinos just start bawling, just fucking crying their eyes out. Now then my dad came out, and I'll never forget what he said. He just goes, oh, fuck! It's the first time I ever heard my dad say fuck. Apparently, that pinata was that Hispanic family's. They made it the kids made it in honor of their grandma, who just passed away 2 days ago. And this little fat mushroom-haired white kid was just eating everything that represented their grandma. So what I did was, I remember being embarrassed, but there was a tetherball set next to it, and so I just went over to the tetherball and I just played it like I did everything to do. Like I just took the ball and just started hitting it like, what the fuck happened to that pinata? Pretty much what happened was my dad got a roll of duct tape, he duct taped this thing back together, and instead of looking like a fish, it was just a ball of duct tape with a fin. And we weren't invited back ever again.
And that was Nate Burrows, everybody. If you want to see more of him around Chicago, you can check him out at the show he produces, This Week's Show at Barcelona on Thursday nights. It's a great show. And guys, I think that's our episode for this week.
Please come check out our live show, or just keep listening to the podcast if you're not in Chicago. We also sometimes hit the road. So keep up with our website or keep up with us on Facebook to see if we'll be in a city near you. We also have a regular show in Austin now, which is run by our co-creator. Our co-creator? Another
she
one
created both of us.
She is our god. Another one of the show's co-creators, Danny Gallegos.
And another big thanks to our performers, Meredith Kachel and Nate Burrows.
We Still Like You is produced by Danny Gallegos, Dan Sheehan, Tyler Snodgrass, and J. Michael Osborne, who is also our resident live artist.
The podcast is produced by Jesse Patend, engineered by Jesse Patend and Sam Haas. Our theme song is Specific People by Jake Tobin. Big thanks to all the people who've housed our live shows at various undisclosed locations around Chicago, and to you, the listener, for being there.
If you'd like to know more about where you can watch We Still Like You or submit to be on We Still Like You, please check out our website, which is westilllikeyou.com, and also you can find us on Facebook.
We'll see you next month.
Next time on We Still Like You.
The receptionist, her name was and she was kind of mean. She was really like buddy-buddy with the manager who was really mean. And then so it was kind of like, well, let's fuck with her a little bit. And she was really dumb. Like she just wasn't very smart. And the fact that you guys awed at that makes me scared about this next part. So why not ruin my life now?
Today's episode is We Still Like Pranks, mostly pranks that go horribly wrong.
They're so much better that way.
Yeah, we prefer them that way.